So, in part one of why the movie Coolie is getting all the hate, we talked about certain components. For example, the item song, which seemed like randomly thrown into the film just to fulfill commercial obligations and give the young men some eye candy to enjoy. Whereas some of the more successful films, even if it's an item song, they made the effort on it. They make sure that it was strongly integrated into the story, and sometimes even the person who's dancing the item songs were indispensable in the flow of the story. The most recent example, of course, being Jailer. So it seems that the substance of Jailer is not copied in Lokesh Coolie, but the superficial style of it is copied. Then, of course, I started a bit on the writing of the film, and then we ended part one. So let me go a bit more into the writing of the film and how the films of the 80s and 90s, you take any hero, but also Rajinikanth, were written so much more better. And maybe some examples of recent films which were written quite well. Okay, certain films they take 2-3 years to make, and there's justification for that. If we look at Rajamouli, which maybe Lokesh unintentionally criticized by saying he locks up actors' dates for years, he takes long time. He has made quite a few typical masala films, commercial films in the earlier years, but when he made films like Bahubali, there's a good reason why it takes 2-3 years, because it requires a lot of visual effects, number one. And if you are a director who cares about quality, you're going to take the time to make it good, right? Number one. Number two, it's a historical epic. So your equipment, you have to make all the swords or what weapons, and the horses and all if you need them, or even VFX horses, and then the actors have to grow certain kind of body hair. Some of them have to work out, especially if you want them to really, for example, if you want Prabhas to look like a king, you need him to go to the gym and have that look of the hero king, right, with the long hair, everything. So all these things take time, right? And even the dubbing also, Rajamouli is very meticulous, even for example a Tamil dubbing or what, rather just throwing it out there, right? That's another thing about Coolie, whereby even releasing the trailer, teaser songs and so on. You see, back in the day, of course, when you make a film in Chennai or Madras, maximum trailer teaser mostly just watched in cinemas in the state only. So it doesn't matter, you can be careless. But nowadays, with international audience, even Western audience, immediately keen to know what's happening with your project, if you were to release a teaser or a trailer without proper quality subtitles, without proper quality dubbing, almost instantaneously, then the criticism are gonna come flying in, and you're gonna lose a potential number of audience, because you're already paying your stars and your technicians so much. So it is your responsibility to ensure, it is their responsibility to ensure, production team's responsibility, artist team's responsibility, to make sure that the small things like that trailer, ensure the Hindi team is ready with the dubbing, ensure the subtitles team is ready with the subtitles. Everything should be cleanly laid out, so that if you say that at 8 p.m. Indian Standard Time the trailer will be released, it releases simultaneously in all the language specified, whether it is Telugu or Hindi or English and so on, at the same time, at the same quality. The dubbing artist's work quality can be seen, the subtitle quality can be seen. That's how it should be, and that's gonna, in a sense, reflect how the whole movie is gonna be, rather than haphazardly throwing things out like that. For people who are being paid very, very well, this is expected. If it's some kind of small, small time first time producer and small time first time actors, and it's like a very small indie project, we could understand the haphazard way things are done. But for people making tons of money and supposedly at the pinnacle of their careers, they need to work more, right? So Loki and his writing team took almost that long, at least 6 months or more, even more, to come up with a script. And these people have lots of assistant directors, number one, and these people have assistant directors who are working on the story even before the project commences. That means that, let's say Lokesh Kanagaraj is now today making Vikram with Kamal, his assistants for Kaidi 2 are already starting to work on the script. He himself might be giving inputs here and there, especially during the few months of post-production, where the director's main job is done. He's just supervising the finishing touches, the soundtrack being put in, the final touches of editing and so on. So he still has time to supervise all these projects. and also a lot of the stories have been told to other heroes oftentimes, and project that has moved a long way have dropped, and then they're just bringing out that script, transferring into a new project. So and even beyond that, the time itself was a lot. The amount of time they took to write a story is equal to the total amount of time directors in the 80s and 90s made whole movies like Basha and Annamalai and so on, right? Where regardless of movie is bought in, even Locatius Leo's rights was bought in from Hollywood film, right? It's not like these guys are like literally writing from scratch, if you want to argue it that way. Right, so despite bringing in all this, where did the writers and Lokesh go wrong? It seemed like, again, just like I said, Monica seemed to be just thrown in with hatred into the film. The story writing style seemed to say that, look what we can do. Here is a complicated story with many subplots. Look at this. It's not a simple story, you know. We took 1 year, 2 years to make this. Don't you see that this is such a complex story? So many subplots, right? A lot of twists like Kartik Subbarash. Do you guys like twists? Do you guys like item songs like Nelson put in Jailer? Do you like twists in movies like Kartik Subbarash does? Look at this, we can do that. Alright. If you see a relatively masterful done script, although inspired by Korean film, the one in Maharaja film by director Nithilan, you can see it's crisp. The story is not so complex. There are not much subplots, but it just moves with a steady pace and keeps you engaged, and it just everything wraps up very clean and neat, right? So in this film, it seems like complexity is made for the sake of complexity. Twist every 5 minutes, there's a twist in the story. Oh, this is not the villain. Oh, this is not the guy being killed. Or this is not that person. Keep throwing it at us as if like, you know, again, as I said, it's not like somebody is making art, making craft and presenting it to us, but somebody who is saying that, isn't this the trend you all want? Isn't this what will make us money? Here, you know, throwing you like some bones, like, you know, to you own a few puppies and all, just throw them some bones, some treats. Okay, here you all, take it. Don't disturb me, you know. That's the feel. I'm not saying they did this. I'm just saying that the as an audience, I might feel this way. I tend to feel this way when I watch a product like that, right? Something else might have happened in all this one fairness, right? So that's my issue with the story. Does not seem to have justification for taking so long for just a normal revenge gangster story. Like I said, S.S. Rajamouli made a king historical medieval story, huge canvas, we can understand. Ancient films like classic westerns like what do you call it, Ben-Hur, or you know, all those David Lean films, Lawrence of Arabia, we can understand. Even Gandhi, if you watch the Hollywood one, 1982 I think, the scale is so grand, so we can understand that. This one is gangster revenge story, mostly shot in harbour, right? And money thrown and spent like water, right? And the core of the story itself is, you know, seems so diluted with commercialism as the aim, right? So did Loki and team fail as artists here? You know, we understand business. Maybe it can be, you know, 40% business, 30% business, and 60-70% art, right? If it's 80% business, then that's what you get. They were successful in a lot of ways as a business. They succeeded in marketing. They did build the hype. They threw in all the ingredients. Like, you know, you go to certain restaurants, they just have this advertisement, $9.99 or 900 rupees, whatever you want to call it. Okay, look at this. We have a platter of biryani. We got mutton. We got 3 types of side dishes, 1 raita, all for only this price. So in this way, Loki is saying, here's Amir Khan. Here is who's that? Upendra. Here's all these people. And yet, how does it come together? I'll talk about this in part 3.